talk about those when we sideboard. And then Ethan's playing against Albert, who is playing a build of elves, green-black elves. So we sort of talked about that, Chase and I, how they got a new lord. What do you think of elves right now, Adam?
I think the new lord's pretty sweet. I really like, what's not to love about it? It pluses, it draws, it says draw card. How bad can the card be?
Exactly, right? So, and sort of Chase said about how it both adds to this aggressive game plan where sometimes you're not doing this huge thing with all of your mana and your elves, but you just have creatures in play and you need to attack with them to end the game, and it helps you do that. And then when the board stalls out, as we discussed before, it just gives you this engine that allows you to pull really far ahead. And the deck wasn't that far off in the first place.
No, I definitely think it was pretty close already. Elvish Clan Caller is a powerful magic card, I think. And yeah, it looks like the players are drawing opening hands, and looks like maybe resolving mulligans.
Yes, I believe they both took a mulligan to 6.
Awesome. Okay. So looks like Ethan's leading us off here with a Den of the Bugbear, it looks like.
I think that's the black one.
Sorry. Hive of the Eye Tyrant. I'm silly today.
All good. I do think that he had a fatal push that he was holding up for Albert's turn 1 elf. And doesn't look like Albert has one. Just on a mull to 6 with maybe some larger cards, and see how that pans out. Starting with an Elvish War Master is the first play. This is a 2-mana card. It was part of what made the deck good before they got their new lord. But just for the first time that Albert plays an elf in each turn, he will get another 1/1 elf warrior.
Yes, the card is very decent in my opinion.
But there we see it get answered by our relatively new addition to the format, or Liliana the Veil.
Yeah, new cards. They're always cool.
And that's just ideal for Liliana in this matchup, to come down, answer a 2-drop, stay in play, not get attacked. Albert not having a turn 1 elf did put him pretty far behind. He was on the draw. And we just kind of see the clear power of the strong interactive black mid-range cards so far in this game.
Oh yeah, definitely. Ethan's just getting all the information in the world, and now he knows how to actually limp his removal that he has, and can make the correct decisions moving forward.
And a little bit of an unfortunate hand from Albert. It looks like he doesn't have a 3rd land, and he's stuck with 3 Shaman of the Packs and a Collected Company.
Collected Company got taken.
So 3 Shaman of the Packs.
And it looked like some kind of 2-drop as
well. And a 2-drop, got it. So we did draw a 3rd land, possibly keeping us in the game. And there's one of those Shaman of the Packs. Ethan gets trained for 1. I believe that is our first damage this game, other than the point that Albert just took from his
and Thoughtseize as well.
And Thoughtseize. Thanks, Adam. So seems like we got Ethan at 19 thinking on his main phase. He's got a Liliana to activate that we did not see activate last turn. So very clear that he liked the cards in his hand and didn't see value in having Albert pitch one of the 3 drops that it seems like he's going to have trouble casting anyway.
You want to see a Graveyard Trespasser deployed here. Looks like we have Fatal Push and Dreadbore left in Ethan's hand. Both seem good against the creature deck.
A little bit. So Trespasser, we'll see if there's a trigger, but we are also in daytime. Should track that. Correct. It doesn't look like Trespasser exiled anything.
I would agree. I didn't see Albert move anything from his graveyard.
And I really don't like Albert's spot in this game from here. His attack does not look that good. Ethan's sitting with, a creature that can end the game in play and his powerful planeswalker. And
yeah,
well, I think Albert's looking to draw a 4th land into a bunch of Cocos. And
Um,
that's kind of his out this game.
That seems pretty good. I mean, he's going to get to chain together these other 2 Shaman of the Packs, which could buy some time. I mean, they're still 3/3s, and as long as he's casting the spells, we're not getting a transformed Graveyard Trespasser. So, and there's that, of course. Looks like we're gonna, but Ethan's got a nice turn set up next turn with at a minimum Fatal Push and Bone Crusher Giant, or he has the Dreadboard to deploy as well. So
Yeah,
we'll see how he wants to manage that next turn. But for now, Albert's thinking on his turn.
I don't think we drew the 4th land.
I don't believe so. It's hard to see his hand, but that's okay. Little mystery, never hurt anyone. It's like,
I think one thing that Chase and I didn't really discuss yet is
okay.
the new addition to the red black deck, which other than Liliana was Shieldred.
Yep.
And it looks like Ethan's got 2 in his list today.
Yes.
And I think everybody slept on that card. It doesn't do anything flashy in itself, but it is an extremely efficient body for 4 mana that, when allowed to sit in play, just accrues a lot of incidental value, and especially when the red black deck just usually needs extra time in the game against the aggressive decks, like it's exactly what you want. It blocks and gains you life.
It's awesome. I mean, it pairs well with so we got Blood Tithe Harvesters in here, correct? Yeah, and then you get to draw an extra card, gain 2 life. Fable Mirror Breaker, gain 4 life in a turn up to it, and it's just got so many different synergies that work so well with it. Yeah. And the fact that it's a 4/5 on top of being a good 4-mana spell, it blocks very well.
So on Albert's last turn there, we saw him play a Circle of Dreams Druid. That's the one that taps for mana equal to the number of creatures you control. And it just got taken down by the Dreadbore in Ethan's next turn.
Looks like we had a Realm Walker come down.
That's another card that is pretty good for the Elves deck against the decks where they need to grind a little bit more.
For sure. One of the things we figured out with it seems like they printed a lot more of these effects lately with reality chips, stuff like that. Being able to, and the red, what's their Experimental Frenzy, Mystic Forge, you have all these good effects that have been printed in the last couple of years that, really just can help your deck go off if you meet the requirement for them. So hopefully we can see a little bit of that. Maybe he'll be able to get a couple extra creature spells he wasn't planning on. So we have an attack here from the Graveyard Trespasser. So
that shows me that Ethan really likes his spot in this game.
Trying to get that Fatal Push online. Hopefully trade for 2 creatures.
Like that. I think it would also just be nice to get that little incidental life gain, and I just think Ethan's not too worried here with a removal spell in his hand and another blocker to play from his adventure zone. And
for sure. Did the trigger from the attack target anything this time? I didn't see it, but
I don't think so. I think we're missing that, but it's not looking too impactful.
Yeah.
So Albert takes his draw and then checks that top card, see if he knows all his options off his Realm Walker there. And eventually we're going to get to a point. I think it's interesting that this Liliana has sat in play after taking out a creature and not done anything, but we've just seen that Ethan likes the cards in his hand, and he just wants to continue to trade them with Albert's creatures, which I do like this line, but soon Ethan's going to be empty-handed. Albert's not, and Liliana is just going to say that your opponent discards a card instead of both of you discarding cards.
Maybe they're, I don't know. I mean, we had the talk of Numa there, we see, so you could be hoping that maybe Albert makes a run at the Lily and he gets to replay it, or who knows? I mean, that's the reason I'm thinking that you don't plus to discard your Takenuma there, but obviously Fatal Push is going to stay in the hand.
Right.
But yeah, so a couple options here. Looks like Ethan has. So,
but as you pointed out, this Fatal Push is not trading for any of these 3-drops in play if we cannot enable Revolt. So
for sure. And a good way to do that, you could, if Takenuma is the plan, maybe we want to plus the latest turn. And if you, it's catch 22. In order to enable the Fatal Push, you got to plus and discard something so you don't get to Takenuma back. But a lot of different like you guys were talking about before, a lot of little decisions leading up to make, reward the better player. So we'll see.
Looks like we are remembering our trespasser trigger this time.
Looks like we have a block here from Albert with the Shaman of the Pack.
I think you just gotta take little things like this at this point where you identify that you're losing the game and you need to draw lots of runners, and there Ethan takes his spot on spending that fatal push, and he could even get his trespasser back if he wanted to be able to keep having two attackers.
Doesn't seem like a bad game plan for sure. So let's see. I don't know what Albert draw. I thought I saw another no, I have no idea. I'd be lying if I guessed.
And it looks like maybe Albert has a good attack, but Ethan's also holding up, activating his 3/3 to block with, and I believe Dreams Druid is just a 2/1 until you get a Lord in play.
As we were talking earlier, the Selfish Clan Caller hopefully going to be doing some work next turn. Maybe we're able to deploy a couple more creatures here for Yep, I'm going to cast a Shaman of the Pack for 3 here. So we see the Takanuma here. So we're going to mill Liliana, Swamp, and Bloodtithe Harvester. A lot of decisions here. So I think I'm definitely tempted for that Bloodtithe Harvester to get rid of that Clan Caller. I mean, yeah, it looks like Ethan agrees with that. So let's go ahead
and I think he is really hoping to not have to wait the whole turn cycle to get rid of the Clan Caller, because I think that Albert's going to take a line activating the Clan Caller and getting another one from his deck, and just starting to chain those together.
And you will have the mana as of now, unless because it looks like we didn't draw an interactive spell. We drew a Tenacious Underdog, which looks pretty good in the graveyard as well. Yeah.
True. Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, we're gonna go up lots of cards with drawing our Underdog there.
Yep.
An attack for 7.
I don't know what the good blocks look like here. So it looks like, so with this block, he's still to get Clan Caller, or another Elvish Clan Caller. And,
Our Clan Callers get a lot less good with when we have less Elves in play, though.
For sure.
I think that Ethan has chosen some pretty good lines to just stay aggressive in this game and make sure that Albert has the least amount of space possible, and keeps little things like that draw, the Elvish Mystic, just not impactful at all.
Now, did Ethan make a blood token when the Bloodtithe Harvester came in, or did he already crack it? I don't believe he cracked it already, but I could be wrong.
I don't see one in play.
Yeah.
So okay. I would worry that trigger was also missed.
Yeah. And Clan Caller can be activated instant speed, I believe.
I do believe so. Yeah.
I couldn't remember if that was a your turn or sorcery speed limitation, but looks like we're going to see another Elvish Clan Caller here. And
in response to the tick down on Liliana the Veil.
Oh.
So Albert's tapped his Circle of Dreams Druid, and I think is continuing to make decisions. He has 3 mana off that. And then Clan Caller also taps for its ability. So here we're activating the Clan Caller, and then we'll see what he sacrifices.
Looks like that's a Elvish Mystic there on the end.
That is an Elvish Mystic. I bet that's what we want to sacrifice. Just being the smallest, and it also makes the least mana.
And now that you're on 4 lands, you're not as worried about opening yourself up to your mana creatures being gone. So cast your Cocos and get.
And it looks like Albert's choosing to sacrifice Clan Caller there, and what that does allow us to do is that if Ethan has another removal spell in his hand to kill the circle, we're still activating Clan Caller when we draw a card off the top with our Elvish Mystic. Whereas we're not doing that if they have the removal spell and we don't draw the land.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to trade our Mystic for a Bloodtithe Harvester.
So there's a blood in play somehow. It's being kept track of. Steel Leaf Champion, I believe, is what that one is.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, Game Day or Champ Promo or something. That's a 3 mana 5/4 that cannot be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less.
Seems like a pretty nice creature to have at this point.
Especially that it's bigger than
Oh,
what Ethan just has to play with.
Thoughtseize, and looks like can't tell if that's the red Kamigawa land. Like
yeah, so Kenzin.
Yeah. So
we see
like it is nighttime.
Flipping it to nighttime, doing a nice job keeping track of that.
And
should be in Albert's turn, I believe.
I believe so. Yep. Looks like he is drawn for turn.
And Albert packs it in. I'm not sure what his draw step there was or exactly what his life total was. I know he was getting pretty low. He had taken some chunks a couple times. So yeah, it looked probably his opponent probably just had lethal in play with the lands and the trespasser. So then looking at sideboard,
looks like Ethan has some pretty good tools for this matchup in Karavek, the Spiteful, which is 4 mana. I believe it's a 3/2, and all other creatures get -1/-1. Looks like he's looking at those right now. Quick, we have an extinction event. What else do we have here?
What do you think about the Hidetsugu consumes all?
I think that it is. I don't know if I'd bring it in here. It definitely hits the early 1-drops for sure and can be punishing, but you're not really drawing any value out of the exile in your graveyard as much. And I mean, the 3/3 creature on the backside is always good, but I don't think you're looking for another threat in this matchup. So I'd be inclined to leave it in the sideboard, but we could see something different.
I think, I agree that it's not especially where I want to be, and it's about what cards I really want out of my deck. So
for sure. Which when we look over here, we have a bunch of different stuff. I'm not too. What are your thoughts on the Lilianas here?
It's pretty close. Liliana in the mid-range decks, classically in creature aggro matchups is not the strongest. We saw there that it traded with one creature and then took.
It just sat there.
Right, just took 8 turns before it did anything else. So I think something like that could definitely get trimmed. And there's not really anything that like Albert has that is very difficult to answer that like Ethan definitely needs the sacrifice effect. So I think we saw the strength of the red black deck there be that just putting creatures in play, removing Albert's important creatures, and attacking with the large creatures that you have is the key to victory. And so
without any, I mean, we took the early company to get rid of, as long as your 1-for-1s are good, you're trading your removal efficiently and stopping the key cards. It's kind of hard unless you draw your collected company or unfair air quote outlet there, So let's see, what else do we like in this? I think extinction event comes in the Karavek. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. And we have if you're Sky Sovereign's interesting, but I don't think I would have it in here. I think if you get to that point in the game, you're already in a fine spot because of your other removal. So I think we'll see what they actually did here, but the clean swap for the 3 Lilianas and the 3 board wipes seems pretty good.
I like that. And then over here on Albert's side, I see another Realm Walker, which I think was part of keeping Albert in that game. So I'd hope to see that come in. And then the Shaper Sanctuaries, I think are the hammers for this matchup. So every time that Ethan is spending a Fatal Push or a Dreadbore or a Stomp, Albert might be losing the creature that he has in play, but he gets another card off the top of his library.
So we have
Um,
some epic downfalls in the sideboard as well that would look pretty good against the Shieldred and some other like game threats that we could clear out the board a little bit. But again, it all depends what we want to take away. Looks like we're actually back in the game here.
mhm.
Looks like Albert is on his second turn, and we have an Elvish Mystic entering the battlefield. Ethan's going to draw here. Looks like he did have Karavek in his hand, so we'll see if that gets a chance to be deployed.
Mhm.
Have a Blood Tithe Harvester with the blood token this time. Nice. So,
And again, highlighting the powerful black interaction from the red-black mid-range deck, the Albert would be having much stronger turns right now if Ethan's first turn was not fatal pushing his turn 1 Elvish Mystic or Llanowar Elves in this case. And we have the choice to continue to do that. Albert, now being on the play, has 4 mana to hold up Collected Company, which I think we will see cast in response to the Thoughtseize here.
I think this is definitely one of the key ingredients missing to the last game. So we'll see if this might be, and especially on the play this time, we'll see if this is the something that helps a lot.
So. Oh yeah. We're definitely watching how much the play and the draw can impact games of Magic. And
looks like it's definitely a Steel Leaf Champion and Clan. Is that Clan Caller?
Yep.
Cool.
And then Thoughtseize reveals, I believe, War Master, Steel Leaf Champion, Shaman of the Pack. So very clearly, the highest value card in that hand was Collected Company. Albert had 4 mana, held it up, gets to spend it in response to Thoughtseize.
Yeah. So we're going to take which one was that again?
And the War Master, I believe.
War Master, thank you. I remember what cards do. And they're pretty pictures, but I always forget names.
Yep. And so Ethan choosing that one, I just want to get that one out of here. It's one of the only cards that represents multiple bodies in play
For sure.
for the elf deck.
And the consideration of, also is like, since you have the Karavek in hand, it looks like you have 4th mana. That, I mean, with the Lord in play, it's a little more difficult because the tokens aren't going to die. So I like the sequencing there, but I think
But
you have to get rid of that Steel Leaf Champion too.
And
that's a tough turn.
The Clan Caller says other elves and is a 1/1. So Albert does need another Lord in play actually to not have all of the small stuff die when Kerbeck gets played.
Fair enough.
And interestingly, we saw an attack from Blood Tithe Harvester last turn. I think I would be partial to trading it with my opponent's Lord there when I can do that.
Looks like we're going in again.
But yeah, Ethan, I think
trying to bait a block and then kill it with the. I feel like I'm butchering the name every time.
I think you got it. Yeah, Kerbeck.
Taking 3 life to play our land, and it's exactly what we thought was going to happen.
So, as we see there, Kerbeck kills the Lord and then kills the 1/1. And Albert's just got a Steel Leaf Champion to untap with. Which this could be exactly what Ethan was lining up, not trading with the Blood Tithe Harvester with the Clan Caller and just hoping that it all gets cleaned up by the Kerbeck the next turn. I just think it's really risky when Albert draws something else like a Collected Company or just plays another Lord or something like that. And then your Kerbeck is just not trading with anything on the board.
That makes sense.
See an attack with Steel Leaf Champion, and I think Ethan could have traded there, chose not to. Not that I like the trade. Yeah. Because that Kerbeck is doing so much. You can't play an Elvish Mystic, you can't play a Llanowar Elves, you can't play an Elvish Clan Caller. I don't even think there's a Lord that can be played while Kerbeck is in play. Right, they're all 1/1s. So there's just a lot of Albert's deck that it is not allowed to be cast right now. Yeah.
And like I said, unless he brought in those epic downfalls or the fatal pushes. That's going to be hard to deal with. Anything main board? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything main board to deal with it, and any answer spell deals with it. But I think the theory a lot of the times in these matchups is that you really need as many creature spells or cards that put creatures in play as possible. So I don't think Albert's going to have any of them to draw to, even though he has 8 spells that could answer it here in his sideboard.
Looks like we have a Graveyard Trespasser being contemplated over. And we're going to see it hit the playmat here.
I think we're getting this trigger this time.
All right.
No sheet on the board yet, but it is daytime.
Yeah. Did miss what Albert drew for turn, but and another Steel Leaf Champion, which I believe we knew about. And I forget the name of that one, but it's a reach 1/2. And you can tap it in another elf to make a mana. I remember that.
Nice. It also checks any creature. Its name is Jaspera Sentinel.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. But yeah, gets to cast those, making 4 mana from Nykthos, with a Steel Leaf Champion and a Shaman of the Pack in play. And then we're sending our Steel Leaf Champion in, and Steel Leaf Champion says that creatures with power 2 or less cannot block it. So Kurvek is affecting the Trespasser and the Blood Tithe Harvester in play, and making it so that the only creature that Ethan has the choice to block with is the Kurvek that we've said is impacting the game in a very large way.
Daytime, there we go. So there's
this is a big decision, and we haven't been keeping track of life totals too well back here, but it shows me that Ethan's life total is probably getting pretty low. If he's really thinking about blocking a 4-power Steel Leaf Champion with his, we'll call him Anti-Lord, I'm not sure, then that those 4 points of life have to be worth Ethan throwing away that card.
Agree. And it looks like Albert has an empty hand as well, which makes the decision probably a little bit easier. And that's going to be an answer to the Steel Leaf Champion.
True.
We'll see if that's how it gets used.
And then a Croxa left in Ethan's hand.
Yes.
I think you would have enough cards to escape it, and it would lines up pretty well that that's your last 2 mana this
Looks
turn.
like the update we have is Ethan is at 5 and Albert's at 10. So
nice. So yeah, very, very clearly there. He did not want to go to 1. Ethan said it is more valuable to stay at 5 life totals than have my Kurvek in play.
We're gonna get a pass here.
And like you said, I think it's interesting that the Blood Tithe Harvester did not answer there. It's not like there were anything that Albert could have done. Wasn't holding up any mana.
No.
But also, these creatures are allowed to block Steel Leaf Champion now because they're not being anti-lorded by the Kurvek.
Yes. So we're gonna see possibly the Graveyard Trespasser stepping in front.
Maybe Ethan hoping to trade these more directly with creatures than just throw them under the bus.
Yeah.
Whereas Trespasser is just an attacker or blocker. So there's, like we said, 1 Blood Tithe Harvester sack to kill the Steel Leaf Champion.
Yeah, at the beginning of 5, I can see. I mean, Krug's is most likely coming down this turn, so you can deploy it turn after.
There's also the choice to pay 2 life. I don't think we want to do that at 5, but
and then blood it away.
Right. We could get it in play this turn if we really valued the blocker more than 2 points of life. And that also is 6 points of damage to Albert, that because he has 0 cards in his hand. So it does look like 1 blood is being one blood has been sacrificed. Croxa discarded. The blood crypt did get played before for turn though.
Yep.
Nice.
So we will not see a Croxa this turn. So, and notably, he's not able to kill the. Actually, wait, is a 3/2 or 3/3? I forget.
Shaman of the Pack?
Yes.
Shaman of the Pack is a 3/2, I believe.
Okay, so he can.
Yep.
Oh, well, he chose not to, but.
And I think Ethan drew the land, so just like
Yeah.
little things here, but if we hold the Blood Crypt and discard our Croxa without playing our land, we could have even played an untapped land without paying any life and then reanimated our Croxa. But we played the Blood Crypt first, so
looks like we're gonna see the Dominaria Lord here.
And an attack for 2.
Yeah.
And I love Albert's choices and pace of play here. Just realizing that he is ahead on board, and knowing that he doesn't want to trade, his 3/2 that's being lorded to a 4/3 with the Blood Tithe Harvester, and instead is just attacking with his 1 mana 2/3 at this point, and just whittling down that life total and making choices extremely difficult for Ethan.
And looks like we have another land draw here.
So we've at least got another blocker we can deploy in Croxa.
Yes.
So that does look like the play here. 4 mana, escaped. Leaving Blood Tithe Harvester and Kurvek, which makes sense. The graveyard, if there's graveyard interaction in his deck, it's probably rebuying.
We can see the Takenuma, so there's a way to get stuff back, which is cool.
And then a Blood Tithe Harvester sacrificed on the Lord. So Ethan had taken the 2 last turn, not blocked. He's at 3.
I believe Albert is at 7. Looks like that's Shaper Sanctuary.
Yep. One of those sideboarded Shaper Sanctuaries. So if Ethan wants to remove a creature with a spell, Albert's going to be drawing a card now. But it also looks like Ethan will have lethal here soon, because Albert should be at 7 after the Croxa trigger.
So we're going to see. So we're going to see an attack, and Albert's going to go to
4 off the trigger, and then is thinking about his blocks. Blocks with a Sentinel.
And it looks like that's going to do it.
Drew a land, picks up his cards, really needed creatures there to continue to block and attack, and just didn't hit it in the last few turns there. And Crocus is a mean clock, so
it is.
Just close the game quick. And as we discussed, we saw the power of the black interaction cards against a creature deck there, and Ethan takes the game.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like the Hitsugus did come in, and it looks like the boat came in as well too.
What about portable holes? How many portable holes does our friend have main deck?
4.
4 main deck portable holes for Jeremichael, and only 3 for Gregory. So just kind of as we're discussing these differences, it's a lot of the small interaction cards. The blue-white deck, they seem to agree that they want 3 Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, and 3 of their Wandering Emperor card. And then it's the little interaction spells that get filled in to make the rest of the list. I know when I've played decks like this, I've been extremely impressed by a card like Shark Typhoon.
Yes.
It fixes your draws as well as just allowing you to have presence on the board that the blue-white decks just have a lot of struggle with against the creature matchups. And then when you're playing in a mirror like this and you've gotten to 7, 8 mana, instead of just floating that mana or just drawing more cards or something like that, you're going to make a 7/7, a 6/6 and start attacking with it and force your other control opponent to have an answer for that.
For sure. Looks like we had Jer on the play here, and they foretold a card, which it could be a farewell or assault coming most likely based on these lists. I know Jer was in the shop earlier this week getting some reps on this deck, so hopefully feels pretty confident moving here. Looks like we have a Shark Typhoon for X=1.
And then like we said, there's not too much going on in the first turns for these Azorius decks. So they both played their lands, they're passing. Shark Typhoon's already come up. There's a 1/1 in play that's going to start chipping away. And it just shows you how strong that Typhoon card is. Jared Michael got to use his mana, filter a card, and put a threat in play.
Noticing a pretty nice difference here. Looks like Jared's list is playing 2 Elspeth Suns Champion, which we saw is in his hand, where the other list is not. Looks like they leaned in the bigger threat being Dream Trawler, and that's the only thing I see over the top here, where looks like we have, like I said, Jared has Elspeth, and it looks like we have Lyra Dawnbringer as well, so might see some form of that. We have Supreme Verdict being a card that we probably don't leave it in the mirror that much. So hopefully this Elspeth can punish that decision.
I'm even a little bit surprised to see something like this Portable Hole. I imagine that Gregory has Shark Typhoon in mind if Portable Hole is staying in his deck.
For sure.
Like, it's such an important card that even when there are 0 other targets besides a Samurai token from Wandering Emperor, this Portable Hole is still staying in his deck.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about this deck is just how much they get to win games from their mana base. We see, I have Gregory's list over here. It's got 1 of each of the castles. It's got Naiganjo. It's got an Adawara, 4 blue-white cycling lands, 2 Field of Ruins, and 2 Hall of the Storm Giants. So that's more than half of the mana base that when you don't need your cards to be lands, they can continue to add value to your game. And using these properly is a lot of playing the blue-white control deck correctly.
I would agree.
So Gregory has made his own shark token, it looks like.
Let's see, that's what that is. I looked down at the deck list for a little bit too long trying to figure out the differences in mana base, because that's what we're all worried about right now.
And you brought up these foretold cards earlier. Saw it coming is one of the options, and then does
Doomscar also has
Doomscar, also has foretell. Do you think that
Behold the Multiverse also?
Behold the Multiverse. Okay, so my question about Doomscar was going to be, do you think that Jared Michael has that in his list still at this point, or do you think that these cards are definitely one of the blue foretold cards?
I would assume it's a blue foretold card, but I have been surprised in the past, so I wouldn't put it past.
And here's another good answer to a shark token is just a march that you're leaving in. And not sure which one I would prefer, the Portable Hole or the march. The march gets to be an instant.
I think the march answers a wider berth of that's might not be the right word, but it answers more cards, I think. So that would be one that I would be more inclined to leave in than a Portable Hole, but
so we see, again, I'm glad I mentioned the Shark Typhoon card at the beginning of our match, because it's a lot of what's mattering about this game.
Casted. Or cycled.
Right. And that's the other reason why it's so important is because I'm putting an effect on the stack that it doesn't matter whether you have Assault coming foretold and you can pay 2 mana to counter my shark. Like my card is going in play, and then you have to answer it with one of your other cards once it's in play.
Agreed.
Yeah. So. Nice.
Like it's actually a 3. Awesome.
Yes, appreciated. I was thinking that was a 2 with the dice we had on there.
It was a 1, honestly.
Seems a little interesting to be attacking then, but as you can see, 3 power goes
And
into
there's
the
a
2 power
fairy.
pretty well.
Looks like we're gonna maybe see a Dovin's Veto here. Oh, we're changing it up a little bit. Saw
Oh,
it coming.
cast one of these, saw it comings. What's next?
Yeah, let's
A
go
mystical
Mystical
dispute. So 1 more mana left available for Gregory,
So
and another
notably-
saw it coming.
Yeah, notably using a Saw coming here rather than paying the 3, which looks like he has another 2-mana spell in 2-mana counter spell in hand, so that makes sense. And it looks like Jared will win the fight over the.
Because then if Gregory has another mystical dispute and you've paid 3, your spell cannot resolve. But if you're cool trading all of your cards for the collection of mystical disputes to make sure that the stack resolves, then that's worth it. And I think that's correct with how impactful Teferi would be drawing
For
a card
sure.
and making mana every
Yeah,
turn.
looks like we're having it fair around here.
Yeah, well played. I feel like by
Yeah.
Jeremichael to
For sure.
fight over that well. My opponent's tapped out. It seems like they don't have yet another mystical dispute, so I'm going to resolve my Teferi now. And now the game might have been about Shark Typhoon in the early few turns, and the Sharks will impact this Teferi war that might start going on, but it's really about, can I have and keep a Teferi in play to make sure that I have more resources than my opponent does.
Yes.
To stay in this game.
Hard agree.
Yeah.
All right. Got some decisions to make here, it seems like. Looks like there's another Teferi in hand.
Which
looks like
might,
there's also a Dovin's Veto, which he would have the mana to deploy that and the Dovin's Veto at the same time.
absolutely. And this might have been why Gregory was playing the Teferi in the last turn. And again, I feel like Jeremichael has sequenced his counter spells very well there to have his Dovin's Veto line up.
Agree.
And not be able to be countered by his opponent. And then we'll just see the Shark.
I'm assuming the Shark was probably going up to Fairy.
Yep.
So we have block here.
Yep. And I think that's absolutely worth it. Just keep your Teferi with as much loyalty as possible. Keep it ticking up.
Maybe drew another Dovin's Veto.
Looks like it. And that's another pivotal card for this match,
Yes.
to just have your counterspell go on the sack, know that it's going to resolve, and that problem that you're answering is just out of the way is it's just so important. And truthfully, I at F&M last night, this was actually a card that Jeremichael might not have had his list had he not been jamming some games and had a conversation about what was important. So it's really cool to just see that pay off for him.
Looks like the Elspeth was answered.
Makes sense. A little hard to resolve a 6-mana card. I think yeah.
Looks like we have like Gonjo and Memory Deluge.
Nice.
Wanted to call it Mana Drain for some reason. That's where my mind went.
It counts the mana somehow, you know, it works. And might not have been an extremely recent addition. It's about a year old at this point, this Memory Deluge, but it feels pretty new for our format. When one of the identities for this blue-white control deck was dig through time, and having your dig through time be good, and then seeing this card that you know, always costs more mana than dig through time, a card that's on multiple ban lists, and then actually having that card, having Memory Deluge be better than dig through time because it represents multiple copies of dig through time, and the one thing that you have with your control deck is a bevy of extra mana when you're winning the game. So it's really cool to see just options like that come and change the format, even if it happens slowly over time.
Yeah, for sure. Looks like we have another Teferi in hand.
And multiple detention spheres.
Yes.
Which I enjoy having some number of them in my deck because we need to answer resolve planeswalkers, right?
Yep.
But at this point, there's two just kind of sitting there. We don't want to play them to exile that Shark Typhoon.
Yeah.
Like they're a little awkward at this point. But
looks like Teferi is going to get in there.
no
And-
Dovin's veto from Gregory.
We're gonna see if it's looks like it's plus. Narset being the card drawn. Looks like he does have the 3 mana. It looks like that's where his mind went.
And we are learning that this is game 2 of their match. And
Greg won the first
Greg
one.
won the first one. So we had an update.
So there's about 2 minutes left in the round.
So if, as long as, these players are playing at a reasonable pace and there is not a result found for this game, if this game ends in a draw, then Gregory would win the match.
Yes. Looks like Dream Trawler was the draw for Greg. It's pretty good.
Definitely make sure you stay in the game, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
for sure.
Even if I'm in Jared Michael's spot and I'm realizing something like this, I may even be choosing not to play Teferi in Detention Sphere on my turn and just firing up my Hall of the Storm Giants and attacking, because that's the only hope that I have in this game. Hoping that my opponent lets me connect 2-3 times and that then the game would be over in your favor, because the best result that you're hoping for at this point is a draw.
Yes. Looks like Narset. Time just got called. It looks like we're hearing from our man on the floor. So looks like this Narset minus. It's a pretty good mode to choose.
Yeah. And
Doomscar. So Doomscar was left in. It looks like that was the only spell that he saw there, and it's a pretty good answer to the old Dream Trawler.
True.
Yeah. So
I think with Jarrett turn 0 though, I'm thinking we're gonna see a just draw to this match and have the natural conclusion be that Gregory won because he got the first game, which is something that we see in control mirrors like this at times, especially if there's lots of trading going on, some very difficult choices. Maybe players just aren't quite playing at the pace that they need to play at to be able to finish 3 matches naturally, or 3 games. And could they even finish 3 games making good decisions in 50 minutes? That's questionable at times.
Yeah, for sure. And especially with being the last RCQ of the season, emotions are high, thoughts maybe take a little bit longer.
You want to make sure you're doing everything right.
Yes.
Yep. And we see Gregory make a 7-7. Maybe he's aiming to win this game and just lock it in. And attack for 7.
So we're gonna see something here. Yeah, Wandering Emperor. Did I miss? Did he tap 3 mana for that?
Yeah, I think there might be a land stuck under another land.
Okay.
We'll hope.
Yeah.
We'll hope Jared's casting his spells legally.
Yes.
And then a Dream Trawler from Gregory. Remember, this is turn 1. So there's only 4 more turns left in our game.
What was that?
I'm not exactly sure. Oh, that is Theros Standard All-Star Dissipate. I saw on Jared's list earlier, which is cancel, and the upside being that the spell gets exiled.
Ah.
Yep. And
it just shows how much of an opponent the clock is.
True.
This is just one of those games where Jared's finally starting to turn the corner, and
And it doesn't matter how many cards you draw and how many cards those cards will also draw.
Yep.
Gotta get your opponent's life total to 0 somehow if you want to be able to win the match.
It looks like have life total update. Jer's at 8 and Greg is at 20. So
yeah. So just kind of talking about those details in the game, that makes it so hard for, I sort of spoke to maybe just taking a line where you lose to a pretty large collection of interaction, but you start to attack with your Hall of the Storm Giants. But when your opponent's at 20, when you haven't gotten them down to 14 with your Shark Typhoons or maybe even 7, then, your opponent having 3 whole turns to be able to find the card to interact with your Hall of the Storm Giants, once you've shown that that's your plan to win the game, is just not feasible.
Yeah. And maybe that was a decision made to, I mean, it seems like a lot of these lines have been taken with, playing another 10, 15 minutes, maybe. But maybe that's one of those things you have to look at when going towards time. I'm not a blue-white control player, so that's maybe I'm wrong, but
no, I think we just see why a lot of players enjoy this deck and still choose not to play it at a lot of their tournaments.
Looks like we're on turn 2.
And
no, turn 4. We were lied to.
Got it. Turn 4.
We have a fibber.
While these players are taking their last few game actions to get their draw, I love looking at pretty cards. That Wandering Emperor and those Narsets that are in play.
Yes.
So that's a nice Wandering Emperor.
But no dungeon module. All the Storm Giants. We all make choices in life.
some players don't quite like them as much.
I'll tell you what, sometimes I just want to see my Magic card look like a Magic card. That might be the boomer in me, but like my copies of Kappa Cannoneer and Legacy. I don't need the borderless or the borderless ones. Just give me the good old, artifact border.
I would like my Magic cards to look like a collection of video game covers. What else? What was that secret layer? Metal posters.
Yes, okay. I did like that one.
A collection of just the D&D stuff's great. Just like all the adventures. I want it to look like I want Scooby-Doo cartoons on my cards. Like I'll take it all. Give me Teferi Hero of Dominaria, but Tony Stark Iron Man. That's what I want,
So looks like we're heading in a draw here.